fishing lures to use, since we're gonna a lot of states, especially my state, we're having an early spring season. The lakes are already thawed, so I thought I'd make a video on what I like to use during the spring season. So the first thing that I'm going to show off is jerkbaits. These are my favorite things to use for largemouth and smallmouth when I'm fishing dams, rocky areas, where it gets real deep real fast. I tend to use sinking and suspending more than floating, mainly because I like to fish in, like, let's say to 10 or more feet of water a lot of times, which is can be deep for bass, but I mean, yeah. The patterns that I like to use mostly are perch patterns, but I like to use shad patterns a lot as well. A lot of jerk baits have different actions, so you gotta look into those. You got the spy baits, you have rapalas, which have 20 or so different things, different jerk baits that you can get from them. Mega bass, there's so many brands to choose from. Each lure is gonna have its own actions, so you gotta make sure you look into that when you're buying them. The next thing I'm gonna use is Squarebills. I love using crankbaits when I'm fishing up shallow, and these things are great when you're fishing 5 to 8 feet of water. The best ones are probably the craw patterns, in my opinion. Shad patterns are pretty good too, but I'm a big fan of craw patterns for Squarebills. The next thing is you can use this all season long, Senko style baits, and the best ways to rig them, in my opinion, are wacky rigging, which you have a circle hook, kind of not really a circle hook, but you can get the Gamakatsu. I like to use Gamakatsu wacky rig hooks. They're my favorite, and you put it a little, not in the exact middle because you want it to be balanced because of the weight distribution, right a little towards one end than the other, because one side is going to be heavier, so make sure you watch out for that. Or weedless rigging them, which you can Texas rig, Carolina rig when you're fishing it like this. Those are probably the best ways to fish them. And Senkos come in all different sizes, colors. Yeah. The next thing that I like to use are mushroom or stand-up jigs. And here we have a Z-Man turd on a Z-Man mushroom jig. And these are great early spring when the water's still cold and you're trying to use smaller baits and presentations to finesse fish those finicky bass. And this is also a Z-Man stand-up jig. This one's just skirted and it has one of their craws on it. And the thing about this craw is the little flappers on it float upwards, so when the skirt's down, the craw is staying strapped in the water, so it has a really good presentation. The next thing that I like to use are Bitsy bug jigs, and you can find these everywhere. It's a great to use jigs with smaller presentations when the water is colder, and this will catch a lot of smallmouth. It's a really great lure for smallmouth, and you'll be able to catch some largemouth on them too. Another one to do when the fish start bedding is to just disrupt those beds with jigs. You can get those bigger jigs. The best ones I like to use are black and blue rattling jigs, and I like to put a craw trailer on them so it looks like there's a craw going into the bed and trying to steal the eggs. You can also get swim jigs like this one that I have right here. I believe this is Strike King, a Strike King swim jig in a sexy shad color, but I'm not sure. And I like to pair these with curly tails most often, and they're pretty good. The next thing is brain fart. The next thing is buzz baits. Great buzz baits are a classic topwater lure. I like to throw white with buzz baits and spinner baits a lot. It's just my favorite color to use. A lot of the lakes that I bass fish on, primary bait fish are gonna be crappies and shiners, so I'm gonna use a lot of black and white setups. When I was in Minnesota though, I was using more colorful things like fire tiger and things like this northern tackle one right here. I forget what the color pattern was called on this, but you can find this on the Northern Tackle website or any of their catalogs. Next thing I like to use are poppers. These are good lures to use early in the day. when the bass are actively feeding, and you just fish these along the top of the water, and you just walk it across the water, and it's great to cause a reaction strike. And this is probably one of the best numbers lures in here. You might not catch the biggest fish. This and the Senko are probably the best numbers lures out of all the lures that I'm going to show you in here. But yeah, the next thing is another topwater. It's a frog. This is great to use whenever you're fishing areas with pads or heavy cover, heavy like vegetation that goes to the surface, and just skirt this atop the cross of the water. And if there's bass there, they're gonna hit it. The next thing is one of my favorites, which are chatterbaits. My favorite one is this one. It's kind of like a crappie pattern. And this is my favorite one. This one's a bit more expensive than the other ones. This one retails for like $16, I think, which is like double the price of the normal ones. This white one is pretty good too. I have it paired with the Bass Pro Shops trailer. I believe that it's just called a trailer, and you can get this at any Bass Pro Shops. It's a really good trailer to put on any kind of jigs, spinner baits, or blade baits. And then I have this green one that I like to throw too. The next thing I like to use, mainly for smallmouth is what I'm going to use these for, are curly tails. And here I have a green pumpkin and a watermelon one. And then I have, when I'm largemouth fishing, I tend to use double curly tails more than I use the single ones. I don't know why, I just do. It tends to catch me more fish when I'm largemouth fishing, but yeah. Another kind of curly tail, you can get the longer ones. And this one's a Zoom Dead Ringer, I think that's what it's called. And I just have it on a shaky head, and this is a good combo to use early spring. In fact, I'm gonna go out this week, and this is probably gonna be what I'm throwing the whole day. And this is a great bait to use to catch a lot of fish when the water is colder and still warming up and the fish are just starting to feed again. And next are going to be drop shot baits. Drop shotting is one of the most effective ways to fish soft plastics, mainly because once you get into drop shotting and you learn how to master it, you can adjust the depth that you're fishing your lures at, and it's just an effective way to fish baits. So any small worm presentations like this, robo worms, dream shots, finesse worms are good. You can even use Senkos on drop shots. This is, I believe, a Lunker Hunt bento bait. This is probably one of the nicest looking Senkos that I've ever seen in my, not Senkos, what's it called? Flukes. If I said Senkos, my bad. But this is probably one of the nicest looking fluke style baits that I've ever seen in my life, to be honest. And then you got your flukes, which you can fish these on drop shots. Or the way that I fish flukes normally is just weedless rigging them, using no weight, and just fishing them kind of like a jerkbait, really. The next thing are cigar style baits. These are great just to walk across the top of the water, and you're gonna fish these early morning, basically sunrise and sundown, to get those top water strikes. And you can fish these at nighttime too if you're night fishing for bass. To get those nighttime fish, this is probably one of the best lures that you can try to use. You can get these kind of baits that glow in the dark too. So make sure when you're getting them that they do glow in the dark if you plan on night fishing with them, because it's gonna make a difference. And here comes probably my favorite bait of all time to use any season, spinner baits. There's so much that you can do with spinner baits. It's one of those baits that people love it or they hate it, but I love them. There's so many ways to customize them. People think it's just an old school style bait and it's not that good, but there's so much. People who use them know that there's so much that goes into picking spinner baits. Water clarity, conditions, the colors, the bait fish that are in the water will decide the color that you use. The time of day will decide the color that you use. Choosing different blades, single blade, double Colorado blade, yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. One of my favorite ones to do when there's low light conditions is this black and blue Booyah one with just one single Colorado blade on it. When I'm fishing midday, I like to throw all white, which this one's probably my favorite spinnerbait of all time, and it's just the Bass Pro Shops brand one. And I like throwing the double Colorado blade because this is the one that catches me the most fish. And I can only find double Colorados unless you want to spend a lot of money on the Bass Pro Shop brand. It's a good one. They don't come with this skirt. I actually lost the skirt from catching too many fish, so I put on a custom one, and this is one of the ones where you never lose them. Other ones I like to use midday are chartreuse in white patterns. Those tend to work very well too. Trailers to put on them. Again, you can put the Bass Pro Shops trailers, and I even fished flukes as trailers on them, and it's worked. You can even get smaller ones to fish for smallmouth, or if you're fishing in an area where you know the bass aren't as big, if you're fishing for smaller species, you can get smaller ones too. A sleeper color, especially for spring season, when those bass are going to be feeding on craws, would be a red colored spinnerbaits. You don't see a lot of people with these other tackle box, but they're really good. One thing that I would advise you, I know I don't have this on a lot of my spinnerbaits, but put a trailer hook on it, because you're going to be missing a lot of strikes with the fish grabbing the skirt and not going over the hook. So make sure you put a trailer hook on it. The next thing are swim baits, and I haven't tried this out yet, but this is I believe a live target shad swim bait. I saw these at Bass Pro Shops yesterday, or Cabela's yesterday, when I went to pick up some tackle. They had the perch ones too, and I wanted to pick one up, but I didn't. Other swim baits I like to use are road runners, and I like underspins because it's kind of like a spinner bait where you have the flashiness and the vibration of the blade, and then you have the minnow presentation of a swim bait. And you can get these road runners in a lot of different colors. Right here you have a white one, and then you have a green one right here. And then usually they come in packs of 2 with an extra swim bait. Other ones are bass assassins or walleye assassins. You can use them the same way. Basically just dragging this along the bottom and maybe hopping it a few times. You're gonna get a lot of reaction strikes doing that way. It's another good thing to do during the spawn is to drag this through the beds. Any kind of swim bait that you can get a weighted head, and you can just drag it through the bed. You're gonna catch a lot of fish. Next, we're gonna have jointed swim baits, which are basically hard baits. And here's a little baby bass presentation. Well, it's the shape of a baby bass. It's not the color of a baby bass, but yeah. Actually, I just got this in the Lucky Tackle Box a couple months ago, so I don't know what it is. This is the infamous free Facebook lure, and I can tell you that they actually, anyone who uses Facebook and follows fishing things on Facebook has seen an ad of this, or Instagram pop up somewhere where it's free but you pay shipping handling. I can tell you that they actually do have good action in the water. I bought a few of them actually. I believe I have 6 of them. They have a really good action in the water. I have one rigged up on my Albert Garcia pole over there actually right now. I was using it last week. And then I have one with a lip on it so it dives and you can control the depth better. It's a little bluegill pattern. And the last thing I like to use, this is also going to be during early spring, are lipless crankbaits, which I think the best ones are rattle traps. Those are going to be your best bet, but you can get other brands too, like this one. I forget which brand it is, if you know it. I don't use any other brands. I try to use the same brand a lot, but rattle traps are definitely my favorite, and you can get, and the bluegill one, like this one, is my favorite one to use. And I like to fish it early spring or late fall when the water's cold, and fishing it rocky areas, and you just fish it right off the bottom, and the tight wobble of it just attracts a lot of fish, and it works more than most other things when you're fishing cold water temps. But yeah, those are the lures that I like to use. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please leave a like and subscribe for more videos. And again, sorry for the bad quality of this one. But yeah, I'll see you guys later.